Well, I don't know what happened there. Welcome everybody to the weekly mindset show. I don't know what happened there, but we kind of switched off and it cut off. So hopefully you can all see me now again, and we will carry on because I've got a great one for you today. I've got an absolutely fabulous one with this for you today. Let me see. Just drop a hey in if you are here live. Say hello, let me see who's here, and if you're catching up on replay, just put hashtag replay so I can see who's actually popping in. I can answer your comments later. So sorry, I don't know what happened there, it all just cut out. But today we've got an absolutely fabulous one, and it's been really relevant this week, so that's why I kind of wanted to do this subject for you. And this is about, are you sabotaging your own success? You know, do you even know if you're sabotaging your own success? And if you do, you know, what can you do about it? Drop any comments if you're here live, and then just put the hashtag replay if you're catching up later on today. And it's a gorgeous sunny day here in the UK. So I'm kind of all dressed colourfully again, I think, because it's one of those, isn't it? I want to extend summer as much as possible. So, okay. So if you ever found, pop in the comments now, if you kind of, would you know if you're sabotaging your own success? You know, I know that, you know, have there been times, I know I found myself wondering sometimes, you know, if it's easier to just jack it all in and go back to that corporate world. You know, those times in your life where things seem to be going really, really well, and then all of a sudden this bad stuff starts happening to you. For instance, you know, like your laptop breaks, or your washing machine breaks, or the car breaks, whatever it is. So things that then suddenly start going right. Are you there? I don't know what's going on, but we're having real trouble with our Wi-Fi by the looks of it there. It's just gone off again. But I think I'm still here. I think I'm still here at the moment. So, do you have things when they start you know, breaking down? Who have we got here? Hey Roshni, nice to see you. Let me know who he's here. Say a hey. And I know but we're having a few techie problems because it keeps on flashing that we've got a Wi-Fi problem. Let me know if you can still see me and hear me okay. And pop some comments in there. I really want you to, I want this one. This is a great one. So let me know. Hi there. That you know, this resonates with you. So, do you have times where everything suddenly seems to be going really, really well, and then all of a sudden, you know, things start breaking down, or you know, you might get ill, or your body just doesn't feel right. You know, you feel a little bit off. You know, and what about, you know, how you know if you're doing these kind of behaviours? So you could be that you keep putting stuff off. You know, you keep putting stuff off that you know that you should be doing. And I know this, let me know if it's familiar to you, but it's certainly something that I'm very, very aware of now. And, you know, and it's something that is so common. And it's come up quite a lot, and it might be familiar to you because it's come up quite a lot in my coaching program this week with some of the fab ladies in my coaching program. You know, you might find yourself thinking, oh, I knew it was too good to be true. Or you keep putting out those freebies out there, but you keep holding back on your paid products. You're not going out there and doing that. Or, you know, you might be flitting from idea to idea. You know, maybe, and again, these are some of the things that I hear, you know, listen to what you're saying to yourself. Are you kind of saying, oh, I'm a bit of a slow burner, and, oh, you know, it's not the right time for me right now to do X, Y, Z, or I need to get the money before I can do that. So you suddenly stop investing in yourself. And then you keep the more you keep saying it to yourself, you're almost trying to justify it. You know, whether you buy lots of self-development programs and then you just don't actually do the work. Or you might be hesitating. This is another one that comes up a lot. You might be hesitating to make decisions, and then you miss out, and you start regretting, you know, that you've not made that decision because you start seeing others potentially flying with what you're doing. So you've got the negative thoughts, Roshni. Let me know what kind of things are coming up for you. Hey, Katie. You know, so self-sabotage itself is any, you know, whether you let me know if you can all see and hear me okay, because it is flashing up that I'm having some internet problems. It's just typical. And I've switched off the Wi-Fi and everything else in here, so there shouldn't be a problem. But okay, yeah. So you're not good enough, or people judging. Yeah, absolutely. You know, let's just say that, you know, you're on a diet. Let's just say you're on a diet, for instance, and then suddenly you're kind of going, oh well, you know, the calories in the office, you know, in the cake, you know, when you have birthday cakes around the office, that doesn't count. Oh, thanks, Katie. So it's just slightly delayed. Hopefully now it will all start catching up. Whether you oh, brilliant, thank you. That's great. Let's fingers crossed now that it's all okay. You know, whether you need to reach a deadline for an assignment and then you start thinking, but I'll focus so much better if I finish that episode of Netflix first, right? You know, whether you're overeating or you're spending more or putting things off, these are all classic signs of us sabotaging our own success. And actually it's what Gay Hendricks, if you've ever read the book, The Big Leap, it's a brilliant book, and it's what Gay Hendricks actually refers to as an upper limit problem. And this is really where so Hendricks actually believes that we've all got this internal thermostat, this inner thermostat that we base our, you know, almost bases what we allow ourselves, what success we allow ourselves to actually enjoy in all areas of our life. So, you know, whether it's your relationships or in business or your friends or, you know, your career, whatever it is, you know, it's the amount that we allow ourselves, the amount of success we allow ourselves. And if we're kind of, you know, buffering against that level, you know, we're hitting that upper limit. You know, and when we then start exceeding that internal limit that we've set ourselves, instead of feeling good, we start to feel really uncomfortable. And then that means that we start actually falling back into these self-sabotaging behaviours, and it causes us to drop back into kind of our comfort zone, our familiar zone, where we feel nice and secure. And, you know, the end result there is you start going off track. You know, you might mess things up. You might mess up relationships that you've got. You don't get things done. You're not on track, and you're then not performing as well as you like. And then actually we then start to feel really bad about our own selves. And we kind of then go into, you know, we're expecting to fail then. So we almost then kind of go into that cycle. Now, your upper limit problems or your symptoms, they may show up in different ways. So hopefully we're all back on still. By knowing all of this, then it's the first step to actually changing your self-sabotaging behaviour. So how do you know yourself? How do you know if you're self-sabotaging? And I want you to ask yourself some of these questions. Am I kind of prioritising instant gratification over kind of the long term? Am I avoiding doing the things that need to get done? Am I not looking after myself? You know, has self-care kind of gone down the pile? Am I procrastinating? Am I doing all of the things that, you know, I think I should be doing, but actually you're not really being that effective? You're kind of skirting around things. Or like I said, you could be, you know, putting freebies out there and actually holding back on selling your paid programs. You know, are you actually focusing on those negative thoughts in your head? Because it's literally us that's getting in our own way. So why do we do this? Why do we actually get in our own way? You know, we think that we want something, and so why is it that we're trying to actually stop ourselves from getting the exact thing that we think that we want? And the reason is usually a couple of these. Yeah, so we look after ourselves, Roshni. We look after ourselves before ourselves, as people count that as selfish when we focus on ourselves. Absolutely, but you know, the point is we've got to look at ourselves as number one, because if we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after anybody else anyway. So it's kind of like one of those weird ironies as well, isn't it? So the couple of the reasons that that I've noticed when people are buffering against their upper limit, and like I said, it's come up in my program this week. So when people are actually buffering against that upper limit, it's close to that breakthrough, that's when we start actually sabotaging it. And it's usually a couple of these reasons. The first one, again, is our own self-worth. When we don't believe in ourselves, we cannot achieve our goals. And our own self-confidence is included in that. And if we constantly tell ourselves that we're not, good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not qualified enough, or good enough to get exactly what we want, then we start acting according to what we tell ourselves. We start behaving as what we tell ourselves. The way we speak to ourselves is so important, as it directly affects how we behave, how we present ourselves, our fullest potential. We actually stop ourselves doing that. So you might feel, let me know, but you might feel, that you're undeserving of that success or happiness. And it's almost, again, another irony that those people that, are the most driven, that work the hardest, and aim really high, are doing it because they're trying to make up from their own inadequacies, from what they believe about themselves. And then when, when the fruits of their labour comes to, leads to good things, so you suddenly start earning more money, or you suddenly start getting the awards that you want, or the clients that you want and things, then we then make it, the situation harder on ourselves. We start sabotaging. And why do we do that? Yeah, so we feel like, Roshni, we feel like we don't deserve this. What people put in our heads from a small age. Yeah, beliefs from a small age. Yeah, they actually contribute to how we act today. And actually that goes on to, because people like to be consistent. So the beliefs that you kind of got about ourselves, our actions tend to be in sync with our beliefs and our values that we've got. And when they aren't, we make an effort to line them back up again. We want to be in an alignment. So if we suddenly start to get success and accomplishments, but actually deep down unconsciously, we still view ourselves as flawed, as kind of incapable, or not worthy of it, then we will unconsciously start pulling the plug because of that lack of agreement. We fear success, so we may start worrying that we truly aren't qualified, or kind of and that we're going to be exposed as a fraud. So again, I get this a lot. Again, it's come up a lot in my program that, if you suddenly start celebrating your triumphs, and you start bringing them into your awareness or publicizing them, then we may suddenly start thinking, oh, I'm going to be found out. I'm a fraud. I'm a fake. Oh, I'm so glad, Katie, that it's making so much sense. This is the good old imposter syndrome. This is the good old imposter syndrome. So, our fear of success then, it leads us to engage in behaviour that limits our success. When we're really close to achieving that goal, that's when we suddenly start doing things that stop us achieving that goal. Or that's when, we might suddenly start getting ill before we're about to do a speaking event, for instance. Or we're putting things off. If we're really close to that goal, that's when these little self-sabotaging behaviours actually start kicking in. Another way is, we want to kind of place the fault elsewhere. And this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because again, when we believe that we aren't going to do well, or we're going to fail anyway, we're going to fail no matter what we do, we actually start behaving in that way. So again, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. we expect to fail, and so guess what? We do. And then, then we say things like, well, I'm not going to get that contract anyway. And that by doing that, we're almost then pushing the responsibility of our goals outside of us, aren't we? We're placing the fault outside. When we do fail, because we've already told ourselves that that's what was going to happen, the blame can be transferred to somebody else. We can justify the procrastination or not preparing as we've already accepted that we're not going to succeed. Yes, and it's like a vision of the failure. Yeah, you get that vision of what's going to happen and you start reprogramming your mind in that way rather than focusing on the success. This is what we call the bit of the handy scapegoat scenario. This is where we kind of go, well, if things aren't kind of resolved, or we say when they're not resolved, because that's the only option, right? It's what we've told ourselves. We can then blame the action instead of ourselves. Of course I didn't get that sale. Of course that customer didn't buy off me. So we're almost then getting what we've expected. And the next one is, again, and I kind of see this such a lot, is, we fear failure. We feel failure and we feel success just as much. The two go together. But with the feeling of the failure is, it's easier again to give ourselves reasons as to why we failed then, rather than give our true all, because then we can kind of say, oh, I was going to do that anyway. And like I said, I talked about that consistency bit. People like to be consistent, and we almost favour being consistent and staying and doing the same things rather than our own happiness, rather than, doing the things that we know are actually going to make us succeed and make us happy. Because think about this, if we're kind of used to being overlooked or mistreated or, we put ourselves in that position. You've probably been there all your life. So while you may not be happy, you'll prefer that to the unknown. So how do we actually do something about this? We first of all must recognise that it's us that's getting in our own way. Some of the time we kind of know we know we're getting in our own way, and other times we don't. So maybe, when we are procrastinating, we're putting something off so that it actually becomes a bigger thing to actually deal with later on. So sometimes we know we're doing it, and then other times we don't. So you've got to kind of tune in a little bit to, what's going on. Start making a list of all the things that you are preventing you from kind of having what you really want. Take that time to really get in tune with, with what you want and with your goals. What's your outcome? And ask yourself what you're afraid of. What is it that actually you are afraid of? What might happen? Is it that you're afraid of something going wrong? Is it something that you are, of things going right? Again, of that success. Well, if then you get that success and you start becoming well known. A lot of people are like that. So think about what it is that you're afraid of. And look at what is truly holding you back. Identify the small things, like, when you start criticising yourself or when you're complaining about something, as well as the bigger things as well that are holding you back. And if you're afraid of failure, think about that. Just list down all the times that you've actually succeeded in the past. Look at all the wonderful things that you've done and all of the wonderful things you've already achieved. And then try to remember that you did overcome that. You did something. You moved yourself forward. You took the steps. You took the risks sometimes. Give yourself a pat on the back. And actually remember that it's okay to fail too. It's not something I believe in anyway. I don't believe there is failure. I believe there's only feedback anyway. There's only learnings. but kind of acknowledge that it's okay to fail, because it is going to happen. You know, success doesn't go in that straight line, does it? It's a bit of a topsy-turvy line. So, you know, for me, I know that it's usually the learnings that I've got when things don't go exactly to plan that actually are the key things. They're the biggest success things actually for me. So, you know, really think about that failure isn't really failure. And we can't always be perfect, can we? We can't always be perfect. So, you know, stop trying to be perfect on that, and allow yourself to be imperfect and open yourself up to those possibilities and opportunities. And kind of finally there, that if you're not feeling worthy, it's the one thing that is coming up so much. You know, it's time to focus on you, on your self-care. You know, get rid of the things that are holding you back and are making you feel like that. You know, for me, in my programs that I work on, you know, my group coaching programs, we get to the root cause of what is causing you to feel this, you know, lack of worth, that, you know, that you don't feel worthy of things. We get to the root cause of that. So stop focusing on what things that you've done wrong and work on recognising the things that you do right. So Katie, you've been programmed by your old place of employment that you were only admin, even though your job ended up being so much more. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, we get that, you know, all of your old programming, I can't read the rest of it, it won't come up, but all of our old programming is kind of what we benchmark against as well. And so that's where the consistency bit comes in. That's what it's always been, and that's my benchmark. So I can't do something different, can I? Because your brain's always looking to kind of, you know, reinforce what you believe. So we've got to clear the old programming, that old belief up. And that's where my programs come into the fore, because I work at a deep unconscious level. We clear up those limiting beliefs at a root cause and get rid of those. You know, so I want you to, you know, to do that, to move past your fears, to, you know, to get out, you know, prioritize yourself and invest in you, and clear up this stuff that's kind of like been an anchor around your neck for so long, you know, because, you know, it's being aware of what's holding you back is key to that, and looking after and investing in you. So, you know, if it's now time for you to kind of move past those old behaviours and genuinely go after what you want, you know, if it's your time to break through those imposed upper limit and get to that next level now, if you're ready to do that and you're prepared to take a risk and you're prepared to step out this comfort zone and clear up these upper limit problems, then I've just got one place left on my coaching program that starts on Monday. So, you know, drop me a message there. It's just it's a 6-week rapid transformation program. There's an online academy as well within it, but it's weekly coaching, so that you get your seat there for you to actually, you know, clear up this stuff and really accelerate your growth. Like I said, I've got one place left on that, so DM me, or I'll put the link in the comments as well there, and start thinking now. What is coming up for you? Are you bumping against your upper limit at the moment, and do you want to break through that? Have a lovely afternoon, everybody. Sorry that we've had all of these little internet problems today. I'm not sure what's going on, but we'll be back on it. You know, it's just one of those learnings, just one of those things to test us. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.